We have just arrived in the center of Kramatorsk. To tell you, it is largely deserted now. This missile attack happened at 10:30 this morning, so it's a few hours ago. I'm going to pull out of the way. You can see what's left of the missile here now. It's basically on a patch of grass outside of the train station. It's large. It looks like a ballistic missile. What we think has happened is that it has exploded in the air over this area because it has distributed explosives throughout this area in multiple locations, seemingly randomly. And I'm going to ask my colleague, Garwin McLuckie, just to focus on the words on the side of that missile, daubed. It means for children or for the children. 39 people we know have been killed. 4 of those are children themselves. The station manager here said she thought more than 100 were injured. We're alternatively hearing that some 300 people have been injured as well. What we don't know is whether this missile exploded above the airspace above the station or whether it was brought down by some sort of anti-rocket or anti-missile system. Let's go over to the station, but it has caused really terrible damage, horrific damage, largely to the people who were waiting here. Everybody knows this was a train station. It's big, it's multiple platforms. Everybody knows that it has been used over the last couple of days to get tens of thousands of people in eastern Ukraine out of here. And they come to this station because getting the train is the safest way to get out of eastern Ukraine. There were thousands of people, and we were here Monday and Tuesday. There were thousands of people here in the morning as well. We've heard alternatively 2,000 to 4,000 people this morning, largely women and children. The men are not allowed to leave. Men between 18 and 60 are not allowed to leave. You can see some of the damage here. So explosives from that missile have dropped here. Just remember that there will have been hundreds of people queuing up to get inside the train station. We've seen it. And they would have been killed, a lot of them. Terrible damage here. We can see people have brought their lunch, their packed lunches, a few bags here. And then they would have been queuing up to get into the booking hall. I should tell you that the police came and the ambulance, the fire service, the emergency services came very quickly, and those injured have been taken to hospital now. Bodies have been removed, but what I think we're going to find here is luggage in the baggage hall. There we go. There's a lot of luggage here that has been left. We've been here for about 5 or 10 minutes. We've heard people's phones ringing in the bags. Obviously, relatives very worried about their loved ones. They don't know where they are. Some of the bags are damaged. And we've seen people come in. There's one gentleman there now. He can see his mother's bag, but he can't get a hold of his mother himself. There we are. He's asking for his mother's bag. I spoke to him briefly before we came to air, and he said that his mother's not picking up the phone. He doesn't have the money to get to the local hospital. Some policemen here as well. Should we go outside, going onto the platform? We're going to keep going out onto the platform here. Again, parts of that missile, the explosive content in that missile, landed here by the train tracks. Again, I don't want to go too close because there is blood, but again, you can see the damage that it has left. People drop their possessions. There's water, there's just personal things, fruit, apples, people have brought for the journey. There's a cap. Everything that people needed to look after themselves on the journey to Lviv, the city in western Ukraine, because that is where people wanted to go. There's a couple of trains per day come to Lviv. And actually the explosives have damaged a train standing out there on one of the tracks. It's now deserted. There are thousands and thousands of people have been queuing up to get on these trains. Now obviously it's completely shut the station down. And I should say that there was a missile strike about 30 kilometers from here at a town called Barankova that hit the railway lines. So they already had problems in terms of getting people out of here. The railway lines had been hit just not too far from here, about 30 kilometers away. And we heard this morning that the railway authorities had found a way to get these evacuation trains out despite the damage in this town. This is altogether on a different scale, and I don't know where it will leave the evacuation, this general evacuation that's been going on. The governor of this region, he's been saying for a couple of weeks now that he wants everybody to get out, both for their personal safety and because he expects this major Russian offensive, which is not very far away from here at the moment. He expects, to put it matter-of-factly, he expects to be fighting in this city, Kramatorsk, Slavyansk, another city nearby. He expects these cities to be at the heart of the fighting, and he doesn't want people here, he does for their own safety, and he doesn't want them to get in the way of his troops as well. You know, in terms of responsibility, the Russian state media has already claimed that the Ukrainians have fired on themselves. I think that is highly unlikely. I think that has very, very little credibility. But the Ukrainian army and the reserves, they would draw people from this community, from Kramatorsk. It just begs the question, would people fire on themselves? Would they fire on their friends, their family? It's just highly unlikely. And there will be an investigation. I'm sure there has to be an investigation here because this would qualify as a war crime under the Geneva Conventions. This is an attack on civilians, clearly an attack on civilians. Everybody knew what was happening at this train station. Tens of thousands of people had passed through here. We can go to another section if you want to stick with us. Okay, let's just go over onto another side of the station. It just gives you an idea of how the explosives from this rocket, from this missile, dropped in different locations around the station itself. You can see some of the windows have been broken. There are shrapnel holes in the walls. Powerful blast. And it must have been absolutely terrifying. I mean, there will have been thousands of people at the station. I mean, when we were here, we saw hundreds of people here on the benches, standing with their bags, waiting for the trains to come. You know, slightly competitive, really, to try and get on these trains. There's so many people trying to get out. There's not enough seats on each individual train for the people who queue up. And then again, here you can see, again, there would have been people sitting here waiting, completely unaware of what was about to happen. Again, it's the same thing. Possessions that have been left. I can see fruit and apples, water, stuff that people have brought for the journey. Anybody would bring for a long journey, and it is a long journey to Lviv. There's also blood. There's a small crater here you can see, probably where the explosives hit. Punched a small hole in the platform. Again, some broken windows as well. Must have been terrifying for the people who are here. It is now deserted. We spoke to the station manager. She said those people who were able left very quickly, and it is absolutely deserted now. There's a few Ukrainian soldiers here, a few people who belong to the railway, but yeah, you know, this will have significantly set back the evacuation efforts going on here, and they were in full swing. They've been in full swing for the whole week. I think tens of thousands of people will have passed through here since Sunday or Monday. An absolute disaster here.